Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by the Union Capital Corporation and Natel's Air Conditioning and Heating, a proud sponsor of the St. Jude Dream Home.
Good evening, New Orleans, and welcome to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher, and over the next hour, we'll talk a little bit about the New Orleans Saints as they prepare for the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Pelicans, the LSU Tigers, and the Tulane Green Wave. And as always, we're going to have a great panel for you. The phone lines are always open at 866-3200 if you've got a question or a comment. And joining us on the panel tonight is Mike Fazende of 990 AM WGSO and also does a great blog as well. Bryan Salmond of Channel 4 Television will be joining us in just a few moments. But Mike, welcome.
Eric.
Good to have you.
You're slumming tonight, my man.
I'm slumming tonight. First of all, tell the audience a little bit about what's going on with you. Of course, you're with me.
I'm
take it
with
from
you
here.
every Friday, as everyone should know by now. We've been doing this for quite a few years now. 11 to 12, Fridays, 9:90 a.m. Inside New Orleans. We talk about Saints, LSU, Tulane, Pelicans, anything sports-wise that we can think of and BS our way through for an hour.
And, of course, Mike's got a great blog as well.
Oh, yeah, I do a blog. It's called Fazende on Football. It's at MeFootball1 at the Blogspot site, .blogspot.com. Check it out if you're bored for a few minutes. They're not very long. My attention span is not that great. So
I hope we can keep your attention span for about an hour tonight.
If we're lucky.
Yeah, we get
we'll try it.
Folks that don't know, Mike and I obviously have been lifelong friends.
Yep.
And we also started back in radio together with John Fine way back in 2002. Then created a show called Sports Rap.
Yep, Sports Rap.
With Justin Gutierrez back in, I think
2003.
It was 03.
Yes.
That was 03.
Yeah, we started that Saints, right before that Saints season started. I was doing training camp.
And, of course, we did that for a while. And, of course, Mike...
That's the year I got married. That's how I remember that.
See, that's the only way he remembers that. That's for sure. Of course, Mike has a pretty famous son around these parts as well.
Yes.
For those of you that recognize the last name.
My son Sean, very proud of him.
Yes.
He's in Atlanta right now, works for Fox 8 Sports, of course. He's been there for about 5 years, I guess, now. And he's the Saints guy, the Saints reporter for Fox 8 Sports.
Does a great job. He's been on this program before. And, of course, Sean is with me weekly on my radio show on 990 AM WGSO. As I mentioned, Bryan Salmond of Channel 4 Sports will join us shortly.
Now, I have to mention my other son, Bailey, just got offered to play lacrosse.
Okay, there you go.
Birmingham Southern.
Congratulations. That's less,
Alabama, one of those schools in Birmingham.
one of the schools. That's less.
He's going to kill me now.
That's less money Mom and Dad got to put up. That's good.
Hopefully.
Let's kick it off. Let's talk a little bit about the Saints. Of course, they take on the Atlanta Falcons tonight. Mike, I'm of the opinion that this could go either way. This could be a game where it could go nip and tuck down to the wire, or this could be a game where the Saints could get out early on them and basically Atlanta can fold. But I also think back to where the Saints were last year in the predicament that they were in. When you look at, again, trying to salvage a season not going the way they thought it was going to go. And then ultimately, again, having to play Atlanta that was doing so well. And from the fan base to the players, each time they played Atlanta, it was kind of their Super Bowl. Right. I got a feeling they're going to get that out of Atlanta tonight.
Right. Well, Atlanta's, we all know, their season's going down the tubes ever since the first game against the Saints in the opening game of the season. I know everyone says that, but I just got a feeling that this is the time of the year. You think back to 2011 and 2009, especially 11. The Saints started their march. This is the time of year they turned that corner. Remember in 11 they lost to the Rams, and everybody was like, what's going on with the Saints? And they didn't lose again.
Yes.
I think that Jets game might be that Rams game where everyone was like, hey, what's going on here? Is this team really up to the task? And then they handle the Cowboys. they really handled the 49ers save for the turnovers,
Yes.
which gave them 17 points, 14 at least, and took away 7 points
Yes.
from the Saints. And now you have Atlanta. I just think the Saints are starting to feel that rhythm, that little drive they get, like a kick, if you will, at the end of the marathon.
Sure.
And I don't think it's going to be close tonight. I really don't.
So you're looking for a blowout?
It's 17,
Right.
14 to 20 points. I think maybe Atlanta come out with some faux enthusiasm, acting all, tough bravado. But I think once the ball gets going, once the ball gets snapped, and they really start hitting, I don't see the Falcons being able to keep pace with the Saints' offense. Atlanta's 26th in total defense. That's not a good matchup for the Saints. They've never been a good matchup for the Saints under Sean Payton. And then you throw in the injuries. You throw in an offensive line that's been decimated by
It has.
free agency retirement
Yes.
and
And
injuries.
injury.
And then you got a Tony Gonzalez who had to be talked
Back into coming in?
back into coming back to play after he was retired and done.
Sure.
And Eric, you've been around football players enough to know that it's such a grind, emotionally and physically, but emotionally, it's such a grind, that football season. And when you have it in your mind, it's over, and then you get dragged back in,
Right.
and you kind of go, okay,
And
I
then
don't
you're
want
not
to come
successful.
back. And then, we talked about this
Right.
right before the game. What happens to Gonzalez if the Atlanta season goes south? They get a few injuries and they start to lose and starts to snowball, and pretty much that's what happened. I mean, we didn't think that was going to happen to Atlanta, but yeah, I mean, here they are sitting at 2-8.
Right.
And Gonzalez is like, man, I came back for this.
Right, no doubt. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We'll find out what Bryan Salmond of Channel 4 wants to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about the Saints, LSU, Tulane, and the Pelicans. Stay tuned. You're watching Inside New Orleans Sports.
My name's Reggie. Just recently, my wife and I took in her sister's children. And we already had 4, so I went from becoming a family man to a man with a bigger family. Now, you can't eat love, so I don't know how I'm gonna feed them tonight. How was that, Rich?
I think I look more like Denzel.
That's cold, man.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking.
Red state, blue state, vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live.
our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
You're watching WLAE, New Orleans Public Television. Find us on Cox Channel 14, Charter Channel 11 and 711, AT&T Channel 32 and 1032, Dish TV, Direct TV, and over-the-air broadcast on Channel 32.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
Hi, we're Ola High, and you're watching WLAE TV.
In the search for beautiful people, music that moves, and real culture, America, there's only one LA Coast. Go Coast, Louisiana delivers the treasures of the Gulf, fresh to you.
I think we need a bigger boat.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on LAE.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Mike Fazende of 990 AM joins us on the program, along with Bryan Salmond of Channel 4 Sports. And Bryan, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
Well, appreciate you being. If you would,
I'm good, man.
Introduce yourself to the audience, let the folks know a little bit about you. Of course, your time at Channel 4.
Yeah, been here for about, a year and a half. Came to Channel 4. I was in Oregon for a hot second, probably about a year. And before that, worked in Las Vegas for 6 years. And I've lived a bunch of different places, the life of a TV guy. Not as lucky as his son to be working at a place, where I grew up.
Yeah,
exactly.
He is lucky.
Yeah, but I've been around the country for the most part.
How are you enjoying New Orleans?
I love New Orleans. My body likes it about 10 pounds, 15 pounds. I mean,
it does do that too.
Join the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Orleans is great. One thing, obviously I do sports. I love sports. I'm passionate about sports. And this is the only city that I've been to that is equally as passionate about sports and their teams as much as I am in any city that I've been to, by far. I mean, it's perfect for a guy like me.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Let's talk about a game where both fan bases are pretty passionate, and that's the game tonight. I mean, Atlanta, maybe not so much. Kind of front-running fans in Atlanta.
I've lived in Atlanta for a little bit.
But, lots of big transplants there. It's, if they're not winning, they're not supporting them.
Yeah.
But here in New Orleans, obviously, it is a religion when you talk about Saints football. Bryan, what's your thoughts about tonight?
I think that the Saints win. I mean, I called the Saints win in the first game. It was obviously a lot closer than all of us would like it to have been.
Right.
But, Atlanta – but this is their Super Bowl, so Atlanta is going to give New Orleans their best shot. It may not be – I heard, 14-20 is what you said.
That's what I say. I think it's going to be
somewhere close around that. I could see it being that, but I could also see it being exactly the way that it has been. Peyton and Breeze and all those guys have been talking about it all week, and the fact that they think it's going to be just like every other Atlanta game. It's going to be a close one, but it will not be a 5-interception perforance by Drew Brees. That's what it will not be.
That's the difference, I think. That's why I don't think it's going to be close throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Breeze throwing 5 picks.
No.
And then if the Saints can not give Atlanta opportunities close to the goal line like they did last week against the 49ers with Lance Moore muffing a punt. And Breeze throwing that crazy interception to Brooks.
Yeah, that was a nice play.
I don't think that happens tonight. Now, if it does, then it's going to be close.
Well, it's something they got to clean up, guys.
I think it has to do that. Has to happen for it to be close.
They have to clean that up going forward. Against Atlanta, you don't want to let them in the game, keep them in the game emotionally. Turning the ball over will do that. And then when you look at the stretch that they got coming up against very physical teams, although I got to tell you, and we'll talk about it in a moment, the Saints really proved something to me last week with the physicality that they played with. But they've got to clean up the mistakes. They got to be more disciplined. It's just not the part and parcel of what we've seen out of a Sean Payton team. That's one of the things that I think that if they're going to win the NFC, if they're ultimately going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, they've got to be a more disciplined team. They've got to clean up the turnovers.
The turnovers killed them last week.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Lance Moore's turnover, that one really hurt. And I hate even saying this. I'm sitting in the press box right before they kicked it to him. I could almost feel that turnover coming just because the defense was playing so well. And that would have been the only thing that would have given the 49ers a chance to get back in that game.
And
I
I
could just
been back there all season.
He
was
has
thrown
not.
back there because Sproles got hurt.
Right.
And he had dropped that pass for a first down. So I'm thinking it might be in the back of his head just a little bit that I have to catch it. But you're right. This stretch is brutal. That game was. I mean, they dominated the game, like you said, and they gave the 49ers a chance to win that game. I was already kind of writing my story if they ended up losing, think like, man, the game that they should have won, they let slip away. But I'm glad they won that thing.
Well, you know what?
It would have been devastating.
It would have been a terrible loss.
Playing so well.
Right, no doubt. One of the things that really surprised me going into this game, and I didn't think that, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that the Saints had it in them in terms of being able to match the physicality of the San Francisco 49ers. They have literally punched them in the gut and came out with a roundhouse right to the head the last 2 times they played them. Physically beat them up. Defensively, you knew with the new line that they probably could compete, but you really had to see it on the field. But I really thought it was kind of a statement game for them, especially for this offensive line, because I think you got to throw Dallas out the mix. Dallas injured. They kind of limped in. They proved a lot to a lot of people last week that, again, they can match mano a mano from a physical standpoint against a big-time defensive line because, for the most part, San Francisco's front 7 was intact.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I'm going to defend the Saints a little bit on that. The last 2 meetings against the 49ers. Not last season, because throughout last season. The playoff game, the Saints were just as physical as the 49ers as the game wore on. Both teams wore down at the end of that game, and it was really who had the ball last. in that playoff game.
It was.
But then again, turnovers that game.
Agreed.
I mean, it's something about the 49ers that bring out the worst in the Saints when it comes to turnovers.
Their physicalness.
Yes.
Well, that's true, but and I guess you're right. Yeah, because Breeze hurries to throw, and the fumble that Pierre Thomas had.
He got knocked out.
Right. Knocked out.
Yeah.
But set the tone for the game for the Niners that game.
No, I agree.
But all that said, Saints have a lead with a minute to go, and the 49ers are out of timeouts. So, but flash forward to this season, they do have a rough stretch, but let me tell you, this Saints defensive line is the best they've had since Sean Payton's been with them, by far. It's by far the best defensive line the Saints had, and it's the best defense when you look at what Rob Ryan has done.
The D is great.
You talk about somebody was saying that they were surprised the 49ers didn't use Kaepernick on the edge. I don't know, the Saints look quicker than the 49ers. The 49ers outside, they don't have their speed guys. Crabtree's been non-existent.
Been hurt.
Bolden's not a speed guy. And so the pursuit, I thought the 49ers felt like the only way they could get to the Saints was up the gut, which is where the Saints are vulnerable at times against the run.
But De La Fuente had his best game.
Gassed.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, the offensive line
played well on the offensive line.
is starting to emerge.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. Wait and see with this offensive line. They got a new coach. They have a new system. Let's see if they start to gel toward the end of the season, and then that'll help the running game. And I wrote this in my blog, note to the NFL, don't let the Saints have a running game.
Well, yeah, you know, I know the year that they won the Super Bowl, their running game was top 10 in the league?
It was the sixth best running game in the league.
Absolutely.
And it was a power running game.
You're right. But to your point, though, the physicality of the 49ers was something that I didn't think the Saints were going to be able to hold up with, because I remember watching that game against the 49ers, and it just boom after boom. I mean, their defense was just laying the wood. They laid the wood in that game.
The safeties.
But now you can tell they did lose Golson. Yeah. You could tell that the Saints going into that game knew it's going to be something that's going to be very physical. They're up for the challenge. They're sick of hearing about us talking about it. That was a question that was asked to Drew Brees that week. Like, are you sick of hearing people ask you about the physicality and blah, blah, blah? It's like, maybe just a little bit, because, we're a football team too.
Right.
So
I think they were ready to play. They were sick of hearing about how they've been out physical against the 49ers.
Sick of hearing it's one thing, but getting out on the field and performing is another thing.
This is true.
I like, as much as I like Eric Reed, the safety from LSU that now starts with the 49ers. He's a big athletic safety, but he's not as physical as Golson was. And I think they missed that back there in the San Francisco defensive backfield.
Really, who is, though?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a big drop-off as far as being physical. I mean, he may be more athletic. Right. He's definitely faster, but physicality brings attitude and gets the whole team.
Oh, yeah. Golson kind of puts that fear of God in the other team.
There's no doubt. Well, and then you mentioned the defense. This is a new defense. It's a younger defense. I think we've all talked about it. We've all discussed it one time or another. We don't believe that this coaching staff realized what they had in training camp. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been talking about Will Smith, wouldn't have been talking about Jonathan Vilma, and going with the old standbys. With that said, Mike, to your point, they are a quicker defense. They get to the edge a little quicker. Akeem Hicks has played so well on the inside, and I think that's going to be one of the keys going forward. You look at Seattle, you look at Carolina twice coming up. Those are going to be very physical games. I think they can match that physicality on the defensive side, and I think for the first time in a long time, and let's hope that wasn't fool's gold we saw last week, looks like maybe they can match it on the offensive side of the ball.
I think so. As far as offense is concerned, you know that you're extremely confident what the Saints are going to be able to do on offense. They're not going to have too many of those New York Jets days where they're not necessarily scoring a ton of points. But the offense is going to do well. The defensive side of the ball is something that a lot of people are somewhat surprised with. Entering the season, are they going to be able to do well on defense? Exactly. That question's been answered in a big way. I think the defense is. They're fourth in the league.
It's legit.
Yeah, what are they? They're 8-2 now.
It's legit.
After now, you can go ahead and forget about it. You can go ahead and stand there.
Even with the injuries now, and think about the injuries they've had since training camp. Guys that they counted on that were going to be starters or guys that were going to be first guys off the bench.
Victor Butler, one of the big ones.
And he's been practicing.
Right.
Now.
Well, let's talk about that. Bryan, we'll take you first. What do you think about Butler? Do you think he's got, again, they had to be activated by week 12.
Yeah.
They got 21 days now to figure out what they're going to do with him. I'm of the opinion that he does not play this season. They're not going to rush him back. You're at camp. What's your take?
I see Victor Butler around all the time. I've seen him in the locker room, kind of talk to him before the Dallas game. He was one of the guys I couldn't wait to see playing that scheme because he knows Rob Bryan. And he's the most, out of talking to anyone on the Saints, anyone, and there are all a lot of good guys to talk to, he's the most energetic and just, I mean, you walk away from wanting to do push-ups after you talk to the guy.
Right.
But
very enthusiastic.
To answer your question specifically, I don't think that he's going. I mean, he tore his knee.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for him to be able to play.
You know,
I mean, to be in football shape after an ACL that quick.
Yeah, he's practicing. He may get on the roster, maybe try to see if he can push it, like kind of like what Vilma did in a sense.
Maybe if they make a run deep into the playoffs, maybe.
The problem is, and Mike, I'm going to ask you your thoughts too, but what about the roster spot? Do you give up on somebody now on that roster unless somebody gets injured, God forbid, over the next couple of weeks, where you have that spot available? Mike, what are your thoughts about Butler? Does he come back?
Right now, I'd say no, just for that reason. Who are you going to cut to make him available? And with the defense playing as well as they are, unless they want to cut a wide receiver that doesn't play or something like that, any spot to open up a spot for him, then yes. But I'm just worried. ACL, linebacker, when you got to plan and change direction and twist and turn and shift your weight back and forth, I don't know. That's kind of quick.
Right. Jabari Greer, obviously a devastating injury for him, 30 years old. Tough to come back from that type of injury anyway. We will hope and wish the best for him. Corey White now goes in the mix, and I like Corey White. I think Corey White's got everything you want in a cornerback: big, rangy, physical. He seems to have a great knack for going after the football. You want to kind of throw out what happened against the Niners with the fumble. You kind of want to throw out the two roughing but that's growing pains. Guys, what are your thoughts about Corey White?
Corey White, I talked to him after the game. One, he said his guys are going to give him a lot of grief for fumbling the ball out of the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
Because you knew he was going to have that happen.
Yeah.
But Sean Payton, is extremely confident in Corey White and what he can do. He's very big, physical. So he's got the confidence of the head coach. As far as his teammates are concerned, I see him with Keenan Lewis all the time. That seems like one of his best buds on the team. He has a lot of confidence in him. I think Corey White's going to do extremely well. He covered good in the game versus the 49ers. I mean, he jumped in front, got that interception, minus the fumble. That was a great play on the ball.
I like what he said, why he made the interception. He knew they were blitzing.
Exactly.
He knew he was going to his hot read, and he knew where he could beat the throw to the hot read. I mean, that shows you he's
visions
got some
of Tracy Porter.
Football intelligence, though. I mean, he was able to dissect that quickly, understanding we're blitzing, understanding that he's going to be cutting off his route, and he was there.
He's going to be targeted.
The fumble, the fumble's a physical thing. He fumbled. I like the fact that he was able to make that play.
And he's a good tackler as well.
He's a physical guy, and I like the way he plays.
He's got decent speed too. He's not a slow guy.
No, he's a good corner.
Right, he just needs playing time.
Right, he does, and he's gotten some. He played a lot last year.
Right.
That really helped. That helped a lot. I've always liked him since they brought him and since they drafted him, and but there will be a target on his back going forward. Teams are going to scheme. Seattle's going to be looking at it. I mean, they got some time before the Saints and Seattle play, and they'll be getting a film on him going out forward because who are you going to go after? You're going to go after Keenan Lewis?
Yeah, and he knows this as well. I actually asked him that very question after the game. He said, I knew they were going to come after me.
Right.
I knew they were going to come after me, and he was up for the challenge. He knows that teams are going to target him a little bit.
Corey White's been waiting for his chance.
I agree with that.
It's unfortunate that it had to happen because they're going to need that depth as they move forward. But the only thing he got burned on the back shoulder to Bolden for the touchdown.
That was a great play.
But that's a great play.
Right. Exactly.
And and I don't understand the technique they use close like that, where they had the defensive back turn his back to the receiver. I would think you'd want to face him, but.
Guys, it's been kind of the theme of the defense this year, though. I mean, again,
stepping up.
No doubt. Guys that you counted on, that you thought were going to be your starters, that were going to be your impact players, have gotten injured, and younger players have kind of filled the gap here and almost kind of forced this coaching staff to go younger, more athletic, more speed. It's what they needed. It's what we talked about in training camp, what they needed to do, and they've done it. And maybe they've had to been force feed, but this is a much better defense, a younger defense, a more athletic defense, and a much quicker defense than we've seen.
Everything he says is exactly true. I mean, you think about coming into this season, okay, a lot's going to be placed on Cam Jordan. Is he going to be able to, contribute? I mean, he's playing out at a Pro Bowl level for the most part. Junior Galette, how's he going to do it? Balling, you know. Curtis Lofton's doing his thing. Hawthorne, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
John Jenkins, even coming off the bench, a rookie doing well.
Unsung hero, because people don't really watch.
There was a Broderick Bunkley appearance last
exactly.
week.
Come on, how well did he play?
Tyron Walker, I mean, just all kinds of guys. Even Paris Harrelson made a few plays early in the season. I mean, anyone that they've counted on to do something that people thought were either left for dead with someone else or just thought was okay has been doing extremely well.
I think Rob Ryan and that defensive staff get a lot of credit.
Good call.
And Rob Ryan, it's obvious he has a knack for knowing a player's strengths and weaknesses and putting his players in positions to succeed and to exploit their strengths. And I mean, look, Tyron Walker, I mean, who knew this guy would be a pass rusher?
Yeah.
And Junior Galette, we thought he was a one-trick pony.
Right.
But he's playing
Got killed on the run.
He's a beast.
And
he's a beast.
His speed is scary good. I mean, coming off the edge and in stunts. I mean,
Cam and Junior with Akeem Hicks in the middle.
I mean,
can't discount with that.
Akeem Hicks in the middle.
Well,
holding down that.
No doubt. And Jenkins, and you mentioned Bunkley. I mean, these guys, that's the key. Inside out in a lot of cases, when you look at a good defense, they're great up the middle. These guys are playing great up the middle. You can't. They're as good as they get in the box when you talk about Lofton and Hawthorne, what they've been able to do. And for a team that you thought was going to do a lot of 3-4, they've done a lot of 4-3, but also multiple safeties.
Anything it takes, that's what they do.
Look at Harper, look at Jenkins. Those guys were getting rode out of town on a rail. Both guys, when they are healthy, played well.
You're right, and they haven't played that much, and that's that's saying something. Bush has done well back there.
I think Raphael Bush
and Vaccaro. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
What else can you say about a kid that he had a lot of pressure coming into the season? He's going to be great, and people, I don't know if he's going to be that good. He's definitely advertised.
I had big question marks about him. He was a safety and played for Texas, and you're like, why are you rating Texas's defense?
Look, Texas hate over here.
That defense gave up 70 points last season, and I'm like, why are you rating that defense? Well, we see now. I love his attitude.
Well,
I love his
can
attitude,
play multiple
man.
positions.
Right, absolutely right.
He can, and again, I thought they'd really miss him against Vernon Davis last week. We still don't know if he'll be out for the game tonight. We'll find that obviously at game time. But it'll be interesting to see.
Keenan Lewis has been a great addition.
There's no doubt. He's been a lockdown corner for him. And again, with when you look at it, Greer will be a loss, but hopefully White will be able to step in. Guys, we got about 2 minutes before we go to break. Let's. I want to ask you about the hit on Drew Brees. Ahmad Brooks, I mean, it's been a big topic. I thought Brees was dead after it happened. I mean, I really did.
He thought he was dead as well.
I mean, I didn't think he was getting up. I mean, honestly.
Me too.
First of all, rules have changed, and we know that. The players know that. There's also an unwritten rule. I mean, you don't foul Michael Jordan going to the basket, okay?
Yeah, you're going to take him out.
Yeah, okay? And there's a rule that Manning, Brees, or Brady, you don't touch those guys.
Know.
Okay?
You already know. They know that.
Your thoughts on the penalty and the subsequent fine?
My personal opinion, when I watched it, I actually had this conversation with Doug and Juan at work. I thought that it wasn't a penalty, honestly, looking at it. I thought it was a gift, but I understand why they made the call. Like, I completely understand why they made the call, and I understand why the defensive player is upset that they made that call. But after going and thinking about it and hearing that the rule says you can't be around anywhere near the neck, then it's definitely a penalty.
Definitely a penalty, and he went for the neck. Looks like he
went
went
for the shoulder, but I don't think he meant to hit him in his neck.
Well, he was just making a play. He was trying to make a play. And it's unfortunate for him that Brees is 6 feet tall and not 6'4". Else it would have been in the chest.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, and Sean had a great report on this on Fox 8 Sports.
Your son is good people.
I know that's your competition, but he broke it down. Not only did he hit him in the chest, but the shoulder hits Brees in the ear hole. That's to the head. And as he takes him down, he uppercuts him on the chin and throws him to the field. I mean, and Brooks has a reputation.
Well,
he's been fined. He was fined after the Green Bay game for a hit.
Well, even Drew Brees says he doesn't think he's a dirty player.
I don't think he's a dirty player, but he's been fined before, and I think referees know which guys you got to watch if they're gonna,
Right. Well, I think
they've been fined to have penalties thrown on them.
No matter what, when you saw how horrific that looked, it was hard for a referee not to throw the flag.
Yeah.
Garrett Hartley is probably probably less trusted than by Saints fans than a Louisiana politician. But he came through in the fourth quarter.
He couldn't wait
guys,
to drop that one on us. He couldn't wait to drop that one on us.
No, I could. I've used it all week. I've used it all week.
Yeah, he couldn't wait to
I've used it all
I'm
week.
to get him with
It's
this
like
one.
my 5th time I've used it. I admit it, folks. It's mine. I've got it.
Eric
Nobody
goes after this politician.
There's no doubt about it. Guys,
Hartley.
if you're a Saints fan, if you're the coaching staff, do you trust this guy in a big game?
Well, I always go back to this just because after hearing what Drew Brees said after the game, he said guys, before he made the kick against the 49ers, he said guys were coming up to him, patting him on the back, saying, "You're still our guy. We still believe in you." And he said this is, what teammates are, not just himself.
Right.
I think they absolutely believe in him when it gets down to the get down, when it gets down to the get down. I mean, they believe in him to make a game-winning kick. As far as before that, I mean, you can see they went for it on 4th down when they could have kicked a 50-plus yarder.
But left them in good field position.
With neither game-tying field goal and the game-winning field goal, they went to him. He made it happen. I think they.
I trust him more with around a 50-yarder than I do with a 35 and then, because his problems are between the ears. I mean, he's got leg strength, and
that's a good call.
Drew Brees can say what he wants. They were praying on that sideline.
Come on.
They were nervous. Sean Payton, that's my guy. He was like, come on, please make this field goal. Because they had kickers in camp, and they didn't sign any, and they kept calling, which is great. I mean, we're gonna show you we're confident in you, and it means a lot.
Sure.
But you know they were nervous on that side. Yeah. Everybody in the Superdome, everybody watching the game was biting their
Everybody in Saints Nation felt that way. And look, you know what I say? Keep John Carney on retainer.
But look, I'm comparing him to the greatest kicker I've ever seen. But if Martin Anderson walks on the field, you're not even watching. Game's over.
Forget about it.
By the way, it makes the final 25 cut for the Hall of Fame, Morton Anderson. Hopefully, I don't think he gets in this time, but I do think eventually he gets in.
If a kicker, the next kicker to get in will be Martin
No doubt about it. We're going to take a break. You're watching Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Bryan Salmond of Channel 4 Sports is with us, along with Mike Fazende of 990 AM WGSO. We come back. We'll switch gears. We'll talk a little Pelicans basketball, LSU football, and Tulane football. Again, you're watching Inside New Orleans Sports on WLAE TV. Stay tuned.
Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by the Union Capital Corporation and Natel's Air Conditioning and Heating, a proud sponsor of the St. Jude Dream Home.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
You're watching WLAE, New Orleans Public Television. Find us on Cox Channel 14, Charter Channel 11 and 711, AT&T Channel 32 and 1032, Dish TV, DirecTV, and over-the-air broadcast on Channel 32.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Bryan Salmond of Channel 4 Sports and Mike Fazende of 990 AM WGSO are part of our panel today. 866-3200. That's 504-866-3200. If you'd like to join the conversation, have a question or a comment. And we'll shift gears to the New Orleans Pelicans, who are now 5-6. Yeah. You know, a lot of people in this city that follow the Pelicans expected more. Some calling for Monty Williams' head, which I don't get. Guys, you know, look, I've said it on this program before. I've said it on my radio show. I think we got to be a little patient here. I think you got to allow this team to gel. You've got to allow Monty to kind of figure out what's going on with this team. Bryan, I'll take you first. Your thoughts on the Pelicans, where they are right now, and what are your thoughts on all the chatter out there about Monty's got to go?
Well, anyone who knows me knows that I'm a big basketball guy. I love basketball. I played on a city league team with Del Dims. So I mean.
Did you now?
Oh yeah. So.
How was he, by the way?
He's a GM.
Right.
He's not a player anymore.
You ever heard of the Night Riders?
The Knight Riders.
That was our team.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, no, I love basketball. Yeah, he couldn't wait to get that in. Yeah. I think that entering the season, my hopes were extremely high because I think the talent on the team is, you know, you can look at it. Tyreek Evans, Drew Holiday, Ryan Anderson, Anthony Davis. I didn't think he'd be as good as he is. He's an all-star right now.
Oh, he is.
But I think that I watched a few games and I was frustrated, you know, because I pull for the team. Just like I pull for the Saints. I mean, you want to cover a team that's doing well. So, but when they didn't have Ryan Anderson in the lineup, I think that was a huge key. And obviously, with him back on the floor, they're 2-0. He stretches the court. He makes a defender make a decision. Do I want to stay in the lane and guard someone going to the rack, or do I need to get out and get him for the three-point shot? And whichever one you do, pick your poison. You go out to the three-point line. Anthony Davis is good cutting to the hole. Right. So I think that calling for Monty Williams' job is ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous after how many games? He's not Mike Brown.
Right. It's 5 and 6 right now, so that's 11 games.
Exactly. I said to myself, if they win these 3 games at home, get to 500, then we can start talking about, okay, they need to contend for a 7-8 seed. In my estimation, if they don't contend for a 7-8 seed, then the season would be somewhat of a disappointment because I think they're that good and that talented.
I think they are too. I mean, obviously now we all know why they struggle is because Ryan Anderson was hurt. And just like he said, I mean, he opens up the whole floor for the offense. And are you going to leave Ryan Anderson at the stripe to go double a guy penetrating so he can dish? I mean, go ahead if that's what you want to do. But he's proven in the last couple of games, man, he's deadly. Plus, if you chase out to him, he's going to put the ball on the floor. And now he's developed that little Birdman one dribble fade.
Step back,
The
step back, yeah.
I mean, he's the key because that opens it up for everybody. And Anthony Davis is just playing, I mean, all-star level.
The maturation process of Anthony Davis has been astounding from year 1 to year 2. First of all, when you look at his body, the makeover of his body, you knew he had to get bigger and stronger. He's done that. He's put the time in. He's always had a pretty decent jump shot. But now you're seeing he's developing post moves. Don't try to get a shot up around the guy because he is. I mean, I don't know if there's a better guy blocking shots. He may go down before it's all said and done. When you start talking about if he doesn't get injured and has a career, they may talk of him in the same breath as Bill Russell.
Oh yeah, he's.
I mean, he is that type. That type
ridiculous.
I mean, you put him up there with Akeem. I mean, you go right down the line of guys that can block shots and keep them in play. I mean, that's another thing. Keep them in play.
And then beat whomever's guarding him down the court. I mean, just his energy level has been really just amazing so far this season. He is running the floor. He's beating whomever is guarding him down the court quickly, calling for the ball. And you can just when you look at him, you play sports, you play basketball especially, and you can tell when a guy thinks that, okay, this guy in front of me, the nerve of you putting him on me. I'm going to kill this guy. And that's exactly how he looks anytime he gets the ball, whoever's guarding him. I'm taking this guy. So better do something about it because I'm about to hit 20 points this game.
The pick and rolls, I mean, going to the goal alley-oops. I mean, the ball's anywhere near the basket, it's flushed. Yeah. It's going down. Right. And as far as blocking shots, Eric, I mean, you're right. I mean, his timing on blocking shots, and I think he's deceiving because his height is around 6'10", but his arms is at someone who's 7'4", 7'5".
There's no doubt.
Yeah. And I mean, he's got quick ups off the floor. I mean, he's got the whole package.
And he's only going to get better. He's only going to develop post moves.
That's scary, isn't it?
He's only going to get bigger. I mean, ultimately, you can see him being a Tim Duncan type where he's a power forward, but he ultimately moves into that center position down the line. So, again, for those that are worried about the 5, down the line, he's going to be the 5.
Dale Harris just talked about that during the game last night. He said that, hey, you know what? At this point in time, he's better than Tim Duncan was at this point in time. And his jumper's better. So, I mean, that's scary even just thinking about that.
They've got to gel. And the players have to learn each other. The coaching staff has to learn what they have. It's kind of a work in progress. When I look at a couple things that really stand out to me, it's defensively, the rotations. That has been the biggest problem. Not defending the rim. Offensively, not moving on offense, standing around, settling for jump shots. Those are some of the things they got to clean up. But those are things you can clean up. This is a very talented team. They just have to learn to play together.
Yeah, and you mentioned rotation on defense. I mean, it was glaring in the Jazz first game and against the Lakers. It was like, are you even trying to play defense? But here again, they didn't have Ryan Anderson, and to me, it looks like he's the key to this team. they're going to go as far as Ryan Anderson takes them.
I think so on offense for sure.
Yeah, obviously on offense. Yeah,
but
defense, he's a liability, but
somewhat. But he's
a willing defender.
He is. That's a good way to put it.
But
and
that's the knock on him, that he's
underrated as a rebounder as well. I remember last year he rebounded about 8 to 10 a game almost. But to your point, that Lakers game and that Jazz game, that was a game that made me personally frustrated with the team, with their effort. And when you look at effort, it's the players, but that's when you have to look at, okay, coach, are you kicking them in the butt? And you know that Monty Williams is the kind of guy that does kick them in the rear to try to get them going. But the effort in those 2 games was really, that frustrated me at home just watching it.
We did the radio show tonight after the morning after the Jazz game, and both of us were frustrated. It was like, really? I mean, after that preseason, I know preseason you can take with a grain of salt, but they were blowing teams out in the preseason. And it was almost like, does Williams have their ear? So he doesn't seem to inspire them. But now we see that he is, I don't think any of us was calling for his job.
No.
But it was a fact that they need to get this thing going. I mean,
well,
Yogi Berra had that great quote, it gets late early.
No.
And before you know it,
I like that.
You're looking up, you're at the All-Star break, and you're floundering around, still trying to figure out what you're going to do. So,
25 games. I mean, that's probably where you see a little bit of a change here now. You mentioned Anderson coming back. I'd like to see Drew Holiday get a little bit more than 4 to 5 assists a game.
He needs to be at least 8 to 10.
He does. He was a 9 guy. He was a 9 assist guy at Philly last year, and he's got to get to the point where he's commanding this offense.
Yeah.
And ultimately, look, if he can drive. Ultimately he can kick to Eric Gordon, who's there. Tyreek Evans is a slasher who can get to the basket. We've mentioned Davis, who has got an outside shot. You talk also about Ryan Anderson. They've got the pieces there. We haven't even mentioned Anthony Morrow.
I know.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and that's the thing that's murdering me as
well.
well.
Shoot lights out off the bench.
He's shooting 60% from 3-point range. That was one of the things before Anderson, was back and playing with the team. I was wondering to myself, why is he not getting shots? Why do I not see Anthony Morrow coming off of screens or whatever?
Right.
Anytime he shoots the ball, in my opinion, okay, that's good. It's good.
I agree. I definitely agree.
He's playing lights out. But right now, Monty has a problem that's a good problem to have, is that you're wondering where you're going to give minutes to certain guys, because there's he's got at least 9 guys that deserve minutes.
That's a good problem, Brian.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a good problem.
Yeah.
Austin Rivers gets 11 minutes last night. Oh, yeah, I forgot. He's still on the team.
Yeah, but no, not just that. Austin Rivers comes in with the backups last night, and they get the energy level up finally, and it turned the corner from it. And maybe that's something that they're going to have to do going forward.
Like you said, it's going to take a while, about a quarter of the season, to figure everything out.
But I think, go to your point, you can't get to the point where you start to fall behind the 8 ball here, and you look up, and all of a sudden you got to make up games, because the road gets a little tougher going here forward.
Yeah. It really does.
Let's head to the phone lines. 866-3200. That's 504-866-3200. Bryan Salmond of Channel 4 Sports. Mike Fazende of 990 AM WGSO. Ben is in Mandeville. Ben, welcome. You're on Inside New Orleans Sports. Thanks for calling.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to comment on Tyreek Evans' play last night and his fit into the current rotation. It seems like he's really starting to get in a hot streak now. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he loves Ryan Anderson's back.
I mean, you know what? I think he does as well.
The path to the goal is so much easier. I texted you. I said he is getting to the goal so much easier since Anderson's back.
Yeah, no, I think Ben has a point.
And Eric mentioned it, that his move, he's got his great slasher. That's his game. He can run the floor and get to the goal. And
he's doing well. You can tell he's kind of hitting his groove.
Yeah.
Something they talked about, the fact that he had, the bum ankle, so he wasn't in as great a shape, entering the beginning of the season. I know I judged him off the very beginning of the season. I was like, man, this guy's killing me right now. Like obviously he's going to be working on his jump shot because he has no confidence in it right now. He goes to the rack as he should, because that's his game. But we need him to not jump and look to pass. I'm sure Monty's telling him that a ton.
Right.
But you can tell he's kind of getting into his groove, and he's getting the minutes. Monty's giving him a chance to kind of work into his groove. So
it's totally new for him. He's never come off the bench.
Yeah.
He's trying to get used to new guys, new personnel. And I think, again, you're going to have to be in a situation where you got to be a little patient with these guys. And I think that needs to be the theme going forward. Back to the phone lines we go, to Tyrell on the West Bank. Tyrell, welcome. You're on Inside New Orleans Sports.
How you doing?
Hey, Tyrell. You're on the air.
What's up, Tyrell?
All right.
Talk to us, Ty.
Your question?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a question, Tyrell? A comment?
Yeah, I was wondering, was the game coming on Fox tonight or is it on NFL Network?
Wait, let me see. It's coming on both Fox 8 and NFL Network, so take your choice.
Yes, Fox. Good.
NFL Network.
That's it, Tyrell?
Man, you're getting hit hard tonight, Bryan.
Appreciate it. Tyrell, he doesn't have a channel
menu guy,
channel menu?
Sure.
That's okay.
Maybe not.
You'd be surprised how many times we get that question at work. I went through my email. I was off today. I went through my email. I had 3 of those questions in my email from just viewers. People, yeah.
Right.
So people want to know, I guess.
Guys, let's shift gears to the collegiate game. Big game for LSU this weekend. Hopefully, maybe for the Tigers, the next 2 games can salvage their season. But, man, I tell you what.
Enough said.
You got to go against Johnny Football. Evans is a hell of a receiver. They don't play much defense at Texas A&M, but some could say they don't play much defense at LSU right now.
Some could say.
A lot can say that.
Yeah.
Guys, your thoughts on this game, and can the Tigers pull it out?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a tougher matchup for LSU than Alabama was because of the offense that A&M runs. And can they pull it out? Yeah. I mean, I think they can win, but it's not going to be 17-14. If they win this game, it's going to be 40,
35.
Yeah, like the Georgia game or higher. Because
higher maybe.
At least Georgia plays a little defense. A&M plays none.
They play none. You're right.
I mean, they giving up 40 something to Rice or 30 to Rice. So, but Johnny Football is amazing. LSU's the only defense that held him in check last season. He said that's the best defense he played against.
Different defense, though.
He's coming in right. He's coming into Baton Rouge looking to prove that last season, make up for last season, and it's a big game for LSU. I mean, you lose this game. What's your mindset going to play Arkansas day after Thanksgiving? And if you stumble and not come out ready to play that game, and all of a sudden your season turns into a 5-loss season, much less a 4-loss. Wow. And then you project next season when all these great offensive players are going to be gone to the NFL, including Lyle Collins, the lineman.
Right.
Whew,
no, it looks bleak. It looks bleak for LSU. Probably the biggest thing that they have going for them this weekend is the fact that they're playing in Death Valley.
They're playing home.
I mean, the fact that they're playing at home.
And it may rain a little, which could help slow down A&M.
It rains there?
Never.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The sprinkler system may be left on.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, they're playing at Death Valley. They're gonna have that crowd. I'll be at the game. I'm interested to see Johnny Football in person.
Yeah.
Like you just can't say enough good things about how good he is on the football field. I mean, he's just fun to watch. If you like sports, you like Johnny Football. You may root against him against LSU, but if you like football, you gotta like that kid.
He's a great flag football player playing college football. I mean, he's
having a good old time out there.
He is on top of it. He is so quick, naturally quick and instinctive, and his instincts take him right to the open man, and it's a gift.
It really is a gift.
That'll get him into the NFL because he's quick, he's tough, he's accurate now. He's got a decent arm. He's got an NFL arm. Not great, but it's an NFL arm.
It's as good as Drew Brees' arm.
It's as good as Drew Brees. He's not as thick as Brees is physically, but he's
that
quicker.
That can happen.
I think he's taller than Brees as well.
He's probably about an inch taller.
But
so I
and
really
much more
think
athletic.
This guy's the best quarterback in college football. Maybe the best player.
Although Drew would definitely argue with you about that.
I know he would.
I'll tell you what. People love to pump up A.J. McCarron, the quarterback for Alabama.
You have to give it. You got to give him his props.
You got to give him his props. Put him on A&M and put Manziel on Alabama. Is A&M as good?
I don't know. You know what? I
would say not.
I can't say anything negative about A.J. McCarron.
I'm not going to say that negative. It's just that it's more of a positive about Manziel.
I understand.
You take Manziel off an A&M, they're a 5-win team, 6 wins. They may lose to Rice.
No, I don't disagree with the fact that Johnny Manziel is so great, but I think you have to give credit where credit is due. This kid's almost 3 straight national championships.
I'm not taking anything away from. I'm sorry if it came out like that. Right. I'm not taking anything away from McCarron. I mean,
sure.
But look, he plays with a great defense, and he's got great talent. He's got great running backs. Every pass he throws, the guy's wide open. I mean,
guys, what are the keys to an LSU victory this week?
That doesn't hurt. I think keys to victory. One, the defense has to show up and feel like, you know what. People are saying, going to this game with the chip on their shoulder thing that people are saying that Johnny Football and A&M is going to come in here and put up 50 points on us. Be upset. be upset that just like they were when they played against Florida, Florida's defense is big, bad, and we're just okay. And they came in and they played well against Florida, even though we've seen that Florida's terrible now. But still, they played well that game. So I think the defense needs to step up. Mettenberger and his receivers, they need to go ahead and just throw the ball around there and let Jeremy Hill run for 250. You know, I mean,
that's going to be the key. LSU running the ball
because you keep Johnny Manziel off the field
and turnovers.
Right. No, I would agree.
You can get a couple turnovers over the end. Now, Manziel will throw it up and throw a pick.
He will.
So and run the ball. Great point.
Well,
I mean, get Hill.
You got to believe that LSU's defense is a little bit better than Texas A&M's defense. I mean, you got to believe that.
Right now,
right
now.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
This
a little bit
better than that one.
Okay. But I mean, ultimately, we'll see. Let's head back to the phone lines to Franklinton and James. James, welcome. You're on Inside New Orleans Sports.
Hey guys, how you doing, Eric?
Hey James.
What's up, James?
I love the show. I'm trying to. I have a question. Do you think that, and do you guys as the panel think that Les Miles should be fired after the end of the year because of his inability to have a winning season this year, but more importantly, to not be able to seem to beat Nick Saban at Alabama? That's my question.
James, before we answer that question, what do you think?
I think he should. I think he should have been fired last year.
Whoa.
That's my opinion. I think that he can get all the talent, but Saban had all the talent. Two, I think we need to go after the coach at TCU or at Baylor. I think that's what we need to do because I don't think that he has the ability to coach offensively. I think that is a major thing. I think LSU is one of the top 6 or 7 jobs in the country, and I don't think he has the ability definitively to beat Saban year in and year out. I just don't think he has the ability. I don't think he's that caliber of coach.
James, thank you for the phone call. Certainly appreciate it. Guys?
Well said. I'd say this. First of all, 2 years ago, he beat Saban in Tuscaloosa. And in my opinion, Alabama shouldn't even have been in the national championship game after that. So
he and I went at that the whole time.
Yeah,
I didn't think Bama deserved to be in that game.
I don't think so either. I mean, yes, even though they won the game, but that's besides the point. Yeah, so I don't think they should have been in there. So, but to his point, Les Miles is a little bit inept as far as coaching offensively, hence Cam Cameron, and hence the offense has done a lot better this season. I think that you can see at points when he's kind of let go and said, okay, Cam, do what you want to do on offense. And that's when they've done well. And at points you can see where he's like, okay, we got to run the ball, and do the same ridiculous run out of the same formation. We're going to throw a dive pitch. I've never seen that before. You pitch it to the running back.
And he got right up to him.
So to his point, Les Miles is a little bit inept offensively, but the defense hasn't been so great this year. And you have to take into account they lost a bazillion players on defense to the NFL, and that's why they're not doing so well. Alabama, they lost some guys as well, but they reload a lot better than LSU reloads. You just have to face the facts that Alabama's getting the blue chippers.
So Bryan, do you think that he should be fired?
No, I'm not one to go out and say this guy needs to be gone, this guy needs to be no. But and even if I did think that he should be fired, I'd say it. And I don't think that, no.
I don't know that he should be fired, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings if he went to Michigan. Listen, anybody who's heard me with Eric since Miles has been a coach is I love him between February and August, but he drives me nuts during the season. The Ole Miss game happens every year. He's got a dangerous knack for letting lesser teams hang and giving them hope. And I mean, you've been here in New Orleans. You've been here about 2 years now.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the whole resume from Miles.
I haven't, but I watch from afar. I've seen his.
It drives me nuts that his game management skills are very average.
Best,
especially when you can compare it to a guy like Saban, who is the best game manager and the best coach in the country.
You can't compare. I mean,
he will never come from under his shadow.
He's going to be compared to Saban because he took Saban's job when Saban left, and now Saban's in Alabama. And
that's like comparing LeBron to Jordan.
I wouldn't. I'd say it's like comparing LeBron to Brian Shaw. I mean, that's the difference. I mean, I just don't think.
Wow.
I don't think.
He does have a national championship, doesn't he?
He does.
Yes, he does.
I thought.
And he does. And listen, I'm stammering and stuttering here because I'm sounding crazy because I think you can get better at the LSU coaching position.
It's going to be tough. Because
And
I've
you're
talked
right.
$15 million buyout until December 31st of 2015.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're going to have to ante up if that happens.
And look,
he's going
we'll
nowhere.
find out.
anywhere.
We'll find out how good a coach he is next season.
No doubt. Got just
right
a few
about
minutes
that.
left.
Yeah.
Want to touch on Tulane. Tulane, the theme of this last part of this season, this last few games, has been self-inflicted wounds. Guys, I'll ask you directly, do they have to win the next 2 games to get into a bowl? Texas El Paso in the Dome this weekend, last game in the Dome for Tulane, and then they finish up with Rice. They're bowl eligible, but bowl eligible and getting to a bowl are 2 different things. Bryan, I'll start with you. Talk about Tulane. They've done a great job this season, been a great season, but I mean, again, people anticipating a bowl game for this team.
Well, you know what? If you were to ask all those people, hey, will you take 6-4 right now? All of them say, are you kidding me? Of course I take 6-4. They're 6-2. We're like, oh my goodness, they're about to be
6-2.
Tulane has done. Curtis Johnson, I was there Monday, has done a fabulous job with Tulane. You can't take away anything of what he's done with that team. I don't think they need to win 2 games to get to a bowl game. I do think they need to win 1.
1 game, yeah.
But I do think if they win this weekend, which they should, I give them a good shot at winning against Rice. No one thought they'd beat East Carolina. I was the only one I was on TV on record saying I thought they'd beat East Carolina, and they beat them. So, and that was with their backup quarterback at the time.
Yes.
So, I don't think it's far-fetched to say they can win the last 2 games, but I don't think they need to win the last 2 games.
One of the last 2?
Yes.
One of them. But if they don't lose, if they lose to both of them, they probably don't go.
Yeah, if they lose both of them, then they probably
6 and
won't
6.
go.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if they'll be 6-6 and losing 3 in a row because they just lost
It'd be 4.
4 in a row, right? Then they don't get into a bowl game. But I mean, how many bowl games do they have? I mean,
Well, they got too many bowl games.
Inside Sports Bowl.
Right.
I mean, and get them a bowl game because look, if they win 1, they're in. And I mean, I love Curtis Johnson.
Me
I
too.
mean, Tulane is going to be rocking in a couple seasons.
You're right.
They just need to learn. They've been down so long. They need to learn how to be winners.
Learn how to win.
How to accept winning.
You can see that's exactly what it was.
No, it is.
Yeah.
You can see that's exactly what it was.
And
they got
and
maybe ate the cheese a little tiny bit.
The second game, the South Alabama game.
Yeah.
I could just see them in practice. Oh, we got this. Yeah, we paying attention to detail, saying the words but not walking the walk. And they just need to learn how to do that because they got good talent.
Yeah.
I mean, they got talent on defense.
It's easy
Skilled
being an
players.
underdog. It's much easier being an underdog than being someone who has the expectations.
Well, and they've killed themselves the last few weeks. I mean, again, between penalties and turnovers, these are winnable games. Games they should have won, especially when you look at the way the defense has played. I know they've had to overcome some injuries at the quarterback position, but I mean, ultimately they have killed themselves.
Yeah.
This game against Texas El Paso to close out the Dome and to move into their new stadium next year, this is a very winnable game.
Yes.
If they want, this should be a game that they should win going away. The test will be against Rice the following week.
Couldn't agree more.
But their future looks bright.
It
and let me
does.
tell you, their quarterback of the future is redshirting this season. This guy
You like
Tanner
it?
Lee.
Yeah, Tanner Lee from Jesuit.
I watched him. Yeah, I watched him play in high school, and I think he's a really good prospect.
Did a lot of highlights with the kid.
I'm glad they didn't pull the
red.
red shirt off of him as well.
Me too.
Guys, thanks so much for being with us. It
Had a
has
blast.
blown by as it always does. And
Always flies
really
by.
appreciate
It
you
does.
guys coming in and being part of the panel tonight.
All right, my brother.
Thanks for
Special
having me.
thanks to Bryan Salmond of Channel 4 Sports, Mike Fazende of 990 AM WGSO. You can have Mike on my show tomorrow, 11 a.m. Of course, thanks for tuning in. Remember, there's a rebroadcast of this show. It can be seen each and every Friday night right here on WLAE. Again, folks, you can catch me on the radio each and every weekday from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM. Follow me on Twitter at Eric_Asher. You can also listen to the podcast, or you can check out any of the previous episodes of Inside New Orleans Sports at ericasher.com. And special thanks to the production staff here at WLAE, Ron Yeager, Jim Dotson, also Donovan Joseph, and my producer, William Hill. For Bryan Salmond, for Mike Fazende, I'm Eric Asher. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll check you out right here for the Thanksgiving edition of Inside New Orleans Sports next Thursday night. Have a great evening, New Orleans. Good night.
Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by the Union Capital Corporation and Natel's Air Conditioning and Heating, a proud sponsor of the St. Jude Dream Home.